Last year, Frankie de Jong said something that stuck with me. There's no point giving the ball to someone who's marked, unless it's Lamine or Leo. At first, I thought it was just another compliment. But it wasn't. It was an admission. Barcelona are already trusting Lamine Yamal with the hardest passes on the pitch, the ones most players never receive. And once I noticed that, I started seeing it everywhere. Every big moment somehow seemed to end up in the same place. The ball found Yamal, which made me wonder, when did Barcelona stop having an exciting young winger and start building their attack around him? Because this isn't really about the talent. Everyone knew Lamine Yamal was talented. Barcelona knew it, Spain knew it, the rest of Europe found out soon enough. But talent doesn't automatically earn responsibility, especially at Barcelona. When Yamal first broke into the first team, Barcelona already had established stars. Lewandowski was the goal scorer, Pedri controlled games, Rafinha carried much of the attacking threat. Yamal was just a part of the team, a cog in the attack, but he wasn't the go-to guy. But somewhere over the next 2 seasons, something shifted. Not overnight, not after one performance. Slowly, almost without anyone noticing. The more I watched, the more I realized this wasn't about one performance. It was about a pattern. Barcelona weren't just giving Yamal opportunities anymore. They were giving him responsibility. But football has a way of tricking us. We remember the big moments and forget everything in between. So I wanted to know if it was something I was actually seeing or something I thought I was seeing. To find out, I went back through every senior appearance of Lamine Yamal's career. Then I split them into 3 different stages between the 2023 to 24 season and the 25 to 26 seasons, all aged between 16, 17 and 18. Because if Barcelona really were changing, the numbers shouldn't just tell us that Yamal improved. They should tell us that his role changed too. So I started with the simplest question. Was Barcelona asking more from him? The first thing that stood out was involvement. Every season, Yamal was seeing more of the ball. Then came creation. It wasn't just about receiving possession anymore. Barcelona were trusting him to create attacks. And eventually, the output followed. More chances, more goals, more influence. 3 different metrics, 1 clear trend. Every season, Barcelona handed Yamal a bigger share of their attack. But this is the number that stood out to me the most. In just 1 season, his touches jumped by almost 20%. Players don't accidentally touch the ball more. Their teammates choose to involve them. And somewhere along the line, Barcelona started choosing Yamal more often. But responsibility compared to who? The numbers tell an interesting story. Pedri Gonzalez. Nobody touches the ball more. He's still the same player who controls Barcelona's rhythm. Then look at Yamal. He attempts more take-ons than anyone else. When Barcelona needs someone to break a defensive line, he's usually the one they trust. And despite carrying that responsibility, his creativity is right there alongside Rafinha. 3 players, 3 different roles, but only one of them is being asked to receive under pressure, beat his defender, and create anyway. If there's one night that introduced Lamine Yamal to the world, it was this one. Before the semi-final, Adrien Rabiot had a message. If he wants to play a final, he'll have to do more than he's done so far. And it sounded like the perfect way to test a 16-year-old. But then the game started. Football had its answer. It wasn't just a goal, it was confidence. The willingness to demand the ball, even with millions watching. That was the night the world realised this wasn't just another talented teenager. 16 years old, a European Championship semi-final, and instead of shrinking, he looked straight into the camera and answered. That was the first time it felt obvious. Yamal didn't just have talent, he had the nerve. Almost a year later came the biggest test of all. A Champions League semi-final against one of Europe's best defensive teams, and within 21 minutes, Barcelona were 2 goals down. The game was slipping away. This was the kind of night that exposes young players or reveals them. Barcelona needed someone to carry them forward. Again and again, they turned to their youngest player on the pitch. Not because he was the safest option, but because he was the one capable of changing the game. Every time Barcelona looked stuck, the answer seemed to be the same. Find Yamal. And that's when something became impossible to ignore. Barcelona didn't suddenly start playing better. They started playing through him. Every attack, every dangerous moment, every attempt to change the game seemed to begin with the same player. If you watch these 2 games closely, something starts to stand out. It isn't just the dribbles or the goal, it's the trust. Every time Barcelona needed a way through, they looked towards the same player, a 17-year-old, against one of the best defensive teams in Europe. This isn't normal. Most young players spend nights like this trying not to make mistakes. Yamal spent it trying to make the difference. Not because he had to, but because Barcelona expected him to. And that's the biggest thing I took away from this tie. Not the result, because Barcelona didn't reach the Champions League final. But somewhere across those 2 games, it became impossible to ignore. Lamine Yamal was no longer just Barcelona's future. He had become the player they had trusted the most when everything was on the line. The most interesting part wasn't what Yamal did. It was what Barcelona kept asking him to do. They trusted him with the hardest moments. And after Inter, they never really stopped.
Il giocatore più difficile che ha affrontato in Champions. Lamine Yamal.
Lamine Yamal.
Lamine Yamal. 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 Yamal.
It's Alvarez. It's absolutely outstanding. Made another one there. Ruggieri and Solot.
2 goals down, on the brink of elimination, and everyone instinctively looked to Yamal. The memes started appearing, the comparisons, the idea that if Barcelona were going to survive this, Yamal would have to drag them there himself. And then within 5 minutes, he scored. But what interested me wasn't the goal. It was what happened before, and what kept happening after. Barcelona kept looking for him. Every attack, every dangerous moment, every time they needed someone to take responsibility, the ball found Yamal. This wasn't Barcelona relying on the young talent. It was Barcelona relying on their star player. Talented youngsters are given opportunities. Players like this are given responsibility. Responsibility to receive under pressure, to take on defenders, and to create when nothing else is working. And in the biggest game of Barcelona's season, they kept handing him that responsibility. Now they didn't go through, but by the end of those games, something had become obvious. Barcelona looked like a team that expected their teenager to lead them. When I started making this video, I thought I was looking for one moment. Maybe it was Inter or Atlético. I thought one of those nights would be the answer. But after going through the games, I realised I'd been asking the wrong question. Those matches didn't change Barcelona's mind. They revealed what Barcelona had already become. And by the time those nights arrived, Yamal wasn't just another option in attack. He was the player his teammates trusted the most when the game became difficult. That's why the graph mattered. It wasn't telling the story of one performance. It was showing a gradual shift. More touches, more responsibility, and more trust. Until eventually, needing a goal and looking towards Lamine Yamal simply became Barcelona's first instinct. Barcelona didn't build around Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal became impossible not to build around.